We're surrounded by sounds all the time, right? But have you ever stopped and just wondered what is sound, really? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the secret story of how every single sound makes its incredible journey right to your ears. So let's think about it like this. What if every sound is actually a secret message? A little piece of information traveling on a totally invisible wave, just waiting to be delivered. That's really the heart of what we're talking about today. Every good story needs a hero. And for our story, we're going to follow a tiny little sound wave. Let's call him Vibe. And this first part is all about how our hero, Vibe, is born. It all starts with one single thing, a vibration. It's just a super fast back and forth wiggle. And that's it. That's the moment of creation for our hero, Vibe. If you don't have a vibration, you don't have Vibe. It's as simple as that. This is the perfect way to see what I'm talking about. When you pluck a rubber band, you can literally see it shake. That's the vibration. And that little movement is what kicks off Vibe's journey, sending that sound message out into the world. What's so cool is how many different ways Vibe can be born. A sitar vibrates its strings. A tabla vibrates its stretched skin. And a flute, it actually makes the column of air inside it vibrate. Every single one creates its own unique vibe. Okay, so Vibe is born. Great, but how does it get from, say, a guitar string all the way across the room to your ear? Well, that's the next chapter in our story, Vibe's incredible invisible journey. So, our hero, Vibe, can't just float around wherever he wants. Nope, he needs a path, something to travel through. And in science, we call that a medium. You can think of it like a highway just for sound. One of the places Vibe can travel is what we'll call the land of liquids. I mean, if you've ever been underwater in a pool and heard someone splash, you've experienced Vibe's journey through water firsthand. It's exactly how whales and dolphins can talk to each other across huge parts of the ocean. Vibe also loves traveling through the land of solids, and actually, it often travels even faster and clearer through something like a wooden table or a metal pipe than it does through the air. Why? Because the particles in solids are packed super tight, giving Vibe a perfect superhighway to zip along. But like any great hero, Vibe has a weakness. There's one realm, one place, where its journey just stops. A place it absolutely cannot cross. And that forbidden zone is a vacuum. A vacuum is just empty space. No air, no water, nothing. Without a medium, without any particles to pass the vibration along, Vibe's journey is over. It's exactly why they say, in space, no one can hear you scream. All right, so Vibe has been born from a vibration, and it's traveled through a medium. Now it's time for the final and most important part of its quest, delivering its message. This is how we actually hear the world around us. The shape of your outer ear isn't just for looks. It's actually a perfectly designed funnel. It catches vibes and guides it down a little tunnel towards a very special target, a thin, stretched piece of skin called the eardrum. And this is where it all comes together. Vibe hits the eardrum and makes it vibrate. That vibration then gets passed along to the inner ear, which translates it into an electrical signal for the brain. And boom, just like that, Vibe's secret message is decoded. You hear it as sound. Mission accomplished. Okay, so we know how Vibe travels, but what makes one vibe so different from another? Why does a lion's roar sound so different from a bird's chirp? Let's take a closer look at Vibe's identity. Basically, every vibe has two main personality traits. There's loudness, which is all about its energy, and then there's pitch, which is how high or low it sounds. And these are decided by two things called amplitude and frequency. Loudness is all about amplitude, which is really just the size of the wave. Think of a loud vibe as this huge, powerful wave crashing on the beach. And a soft vibe, like a whisper, well, that's just a tiny, gentle ripple. More energy means a bigger wave, which means a louder sound. Pitch, on the other hand, is all about frequency. Basically, how fast the vibration is happening. A high-frequency vibe, like a bird singing, is a bunch of really quick, rapid vibrations. A low-frequency vibe, like that deep lion's roar, is a much slower, booming vibration. So, our hero vibe is usually a pretty welcome messenger. But what happens when too many vibes show up at once, or when they're just really unpleasant? This is where the villain of our story makes an appearance: noise pollution. Noise pollution is really just unwanted sound. It's the car horns blaring in traffic, the construction noise next door, the music that's just way, way too loud. These are vibes that have gone from being helpful messengers to being just plain disruptive. And this isn't just about being annoying. It's genuinely bad for our health. Being around constant noise pollution can mess with our sleep, cause anxiety, raise our blood pressure, and even lead to permanent damage to the very system we just learned about, our hearing. But here's the good news. We can fight back. We can control the sources of noise, from using quieter machines to just turning down the volume. And nature gives us one of the best solutions right here: planting trees. They act as incredible natural sound absorbers. Okay, you followed Vibe all the way from its birth to its final destination. You know its personality, and you even know its enemy. So now it's time for the final challenge, to see if you've really mastered the secret journey of sound. Here we go. Lightning and thunder. They're born at the exact same moment, from the very same storm. And yet, we always see the flash of lightning a few moments before we hear that crash of thunder. So, why is that? And the answer is basically a race. The flash of lightning travels at the speed of light, which is ridiculously fast. But the vibe of thunder, it has to travel at the speed of sound, which is much, much slower. So the light gets to your eyes almost instantly, while the sound vibe has to make its long journey through the air, arriving a few seconds later. It's the ultimate proof that every single sound is on a journey, with its own story and its own speed.